Hello and welcome to Sao Paulo. We are at Brasil Investment Forum, a great, massive event that has been put together by the Brazilian government and the Inter-American Development Bank. 2 days packed of interesting discussions, and I'm here now for an equally, I'm sure, interesting discussion with Li Yinsheng, who is the CEO of China Three Gorges Brasil. So China Three Gorges is the world's largest hydroelectric energy producer, and you're the CEO of the Brazilian operations. You've been here since 2013. Investing in a number of operations, buying and partnering with the local plants. So we're here discussing investment opportunities in Brazil with the ongoing political crisis. I wonder whether this may be a better moment for investors such as yourselves, which have such a long-term view rather than other investors. Would you agree?
We came in 2013. I think that was a good moment to come because of the sector's dynamics and also foreign exchange rate. We have been doing pretty well in the last 3 years. We have become the second largest private producers, or second largest private power generation company. Now, I would say in Brazil, a number of important or fundamental reforms are ongoing. People really have very high expectations from those reforms. We are talking about pension fund, we are talking about labor reform, and also a few others. But they are very critical for the country. So if those reforms get through, it will not only bring positive investment environment for short term, but will also make a great difference for the country in the next decades. That is how I see it.
So I guess this is obviously potentially a very interesting moment for any kind of investor, but even more so for investors who are already here and are familiar with the local environment, and which can bear such ongoing political uncertainty. I also wanted to ask you about specificities about the electricity sector in Brazil. So while other countries in Latin America manage to peg to the dollar their electricity prices, energy prices, to attract foreign investors and to reduce their foreign exchange risks, this is not the case in Brazil. How big an issue is it for you?
It is a major risk, I would say, for foreigners to invest in Brazil, because the currency is really not very stable. But one thing that in Brazilian energy sector, the concession agreement, your revenues and your expenses are all linked to the inflation, and inflation somehow is linked to the foreign exchange rate. So naturally, you have partial hedge, I would say, in your revenue. That is one thing. And the second thing is, I think this is a lot of people surprised that if you do a math, the foreign exchange rate, if you really look at 10 or 20 or even 30 years of cycle, that will make a much smaller difference.
So again, you need to have a very long-term view to make it work, which is exactly what you have, what the CTG Group has here. So does this mean that this is also an interesting moment for the group to expand in its presence in Brazil?
We are not expanding for the moment, but not only because of the situations, but because we have a very fast growth in the past few years. So we are now operating 8.3 gigawatt installed capacity. So our short-term mission is really to consolidate and optimize the operation and improve the efficiency. And once we have those confidence, we'll start thinking about next wave of expansion.
Okay, so not an immediate expansion, but perhaps in the next couple of years?
But again, it is our sector is very much optimistic. So you have to wait for the opportunity to come. For example, the country has to plan some of the hydropower plants when they want those plants to be built. Okay, so if we have the opportunity, we'll for sure look at those opportunities.
Very well. Mr. Li, thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Silvia.